Alrighty, we got a package here from FunnyPlaying. I ordered this directly from the FunnyPlaying website this time. So the last time I ordered from them, I did it through the AliExpress store, their official store on AliExpress. It ships from China either way, although this did arrive pretty quickly. Can't always expect that it's going to be that quick, but yeah, I ordered stuff to do up another DMG. Like I've mentioned recently, I had a couple of IPS modded DMGs that I've done relatively early in the history of IPS DMGs existing. And I recently said I wouldn't mind having one of the newer IPS kits. They have a slightly larger screen and they have some more kind of like sepia tones that I like. And so I sold the clear one to my coworker for $80 Canadian, which is about $60 US, which not a bad deal for him. The IPS screen kit alone will cost you that much. And that's assuming that you've already got a Game Boy that at least has a working motherboard and, you know, a shell and everything else that's in good shape. So it worked out for him. It was a good deal for him. It's his first Game Boy. He had a Game Boy Advance, but didn't have anything older than that. So got a clear shell. Yep, another clear shell. But I kind of wanted to experiment a little bit here with colors. So actually, let's take a look in here first. So we've got the IPS kit itself. Now, one thing with this screen, as you can tell, it's a little bit more squarish compared to the screen in the early ones. And I'll show the clear one again for an example, because on the clear one you can see the screen comes up all the way to the top of the shell and comes all the way down to almost touching the D-pad. And on this one, this has the same screen in it. You know, it doesn't matter. You can't really see it. But on the clear ones, it does look a little strange. So another bonus with the newer IPS kits is they are using a smaller screen that's not going to, you know, go all the way to the top of the shell and all the way to the D-pad. So anyways, we've got the IPS kit, and of course, with the DMG, the IPS kit will come with its own, basically the front PCB, which happens to have the button contacts on it. On a DMG, the screen is normally soldered directly to the screen board. And so if you're changing the screen, you pretty much have to change the board as well. But it's not really the motherboard. You know, the motherboard is in the back half of the shell. That has the CPU on it. Anyways, so I ordered 2 different colors of screen protectors. These have a slightly larger cutout for the screen. Like I said, the screen's 11% larger than a stock DMG screen, and these early IPS kits are pretty much stock sized. So this is going to be a little bit larger of a screen. But I ordered gray ones just in case the pink one doesn't work out. I ordered a pair of pink membranes, pink buttons, but we're not going all pink here. Green membranes and green buttons. I also ordered a new speaker. I just figured clear shell, might as well have a nice looking brand new speaker in there. Yeah, anyways, so the idea is to go pink screen, pink membranes, but blue buttons, and that's going to give us a blue power button but pink select and start. So it's going to basically go blue, I guess green. I don't know why I'm saying blue. This is green. It's going to go green, pink, green, pink. Now, is that really my ideal color combination with a clear shell? Not really. The problem with FunnyPlaying lately, and this has been true for honestly the last year, I want to say, when you go on FunnyPlaying's official store on AliExpress, or you go to FunnyPlaying's website, and then you go to DMG, they don't really have a lot of options right now. Like, they will show, 10 different colors of shells, but 6 out of the 10 of are sold out and have been sold out for, again, what feels like the last year. And same with the screen covers, right? So like they'll show 10 different colors of screen covers, but 6 out of the 10 are sold out. And again, it's kind of been that way for what feels like the last year. But yeah, so let's take a look at the shell. I don't know if I've ever used an official FunnyPlaying DMG shell before. I've used Retro 6 ones. I've used the generic ones that I bought from Handheld Legend. And I've used ones that I've just bought off random people on like Facebook Marketplace. And so I don't think that they were FunnyPlaying, but maybe they were. And I don't know if their shells, I don't know if the quality of their DMG shells is necessarily up to par with the quality of their Game Boy Color shells or their Game Boy Advance shells. Their GBA and GBC shells I have used FunnyPlaying, and the quality on them is phenomenal. And I've never had a DMG shell other than the Retro 6 ones where I felt like the quality of them was like perfect. So this, I am assuming, is pre-cut for the contrast wheel, although honestly it doesn't look like it. And it is is it? Well, it will be pre-cut for this IPS screen because, again, this IPS screen doesn't go all the way to the top of the shell. But on the older IPS kits, like on this one, you got to trim these 2 out of these 3 little plastic pieces that stick down there. So that shouldn't matter on this screen because, again, the screen is smaller. And we do have an alignment bracket here as well, and that's branded FunnyPlaying. So that will go in something like that. Yeah, something like that, and that'll hold the screen in place. But yeah, so these FunnyPlaying shells, I don't think they come with... oh, it does. It does come with the port cover. Okay. And the battery cover. Yeah, I can already tell trying to get that off that it's not perfect. It's not as good as the Retro 6 shells. And again, I've said it before, a lot of people don't like Retro 6 for more reasons to do with the company than the quality of the product. But like Retro 6 shells, this is a Retro 6 shell here. The quality of the battery cover is like as good as a real OEM shell. Like, it's so smooth, it doesn't creak, you don't have to push on it harder to get it to go on. I've never seen a DMG shell as good as the Retro 6 ones, although this is pretty good. That's like such a small complaint that most people will never notice or care about. But yeah, it is white, printed on fonts for B&A, Select Start, Nintendo Game Boy. I was not sure what color that would be because they don't show that in the pictures. The pictures will show the color of the shell, but it won't show the printing on there. So they don't want to show that it actually says Nintendo Game Boy trademark. So they can't show that in the pictures, but obviously it's on there. Or I shouldn't say obviously, it is on there, which you might not realize when you're buying it based off the pictures. But yeah, shell looks okay. And again, this screen cutout is 11% larger for the newer IPS kits, just like the screen cutout on the screen cover is got to be larger for the newer IPS kits. So again, if you're buying all this stuff separately, make sure you're getting the right shell and the right screen cover for the screen kit that you're getting. But if you just buy it all from FunnyPlaying, then that's one less thing that you have to worry about. Anyways, let's get started on this. We're just going to transfer the motherboard from here. Yeah, the motherboard just comes out like that. And we'll go into the new shell just like that. This is definitely different than the older IPS kits that I've had. This quote-unquote contrast wheel now just kind of spring loads up and down a little bit, and it does push in. But it is a little bit thinner than, so the brightness wheel on this guy's really fat. It's fatter than the original contrast wheel. And so on the shells, you've got to file this out right here a little bit. But on this newer kit, this dial is slimmer. The only soldering typically on a DMG IPS mod is the speaker itself. The speaker actually attaches to the front PCB board, not to the motherboard. So when you swap the motherboard over, the speaker's not getting swapped with it. The speaker will have to be soldered to the new board, the front LCD board, and that's just these two contacts here. All right, so we got the speaker soldered in there. I made a bit of a deal about the polarity there. It might not really matter on a speaker this small that isn't in stereo with another speaker where it might be out of phase. That said, the way I wired this, so the positive going to this side of the speaker. So when you're looking at the FunnyPlaying logo, it's like the right side of the speaker, and then that's going to the positive side. And that's how it's wired up in the picture on the FunnyPlaying website for this speaker. So if that's not right, then the picture's wrong. And honestly, like I said, it might not even matter here anyways. All right, with that done, we can put our attention on the front of the shell here, and we should be able to just pop these buttons in here. And then we'll get the pink membranes out. Now remember, the membranes in the case of the DMG, well, I guess most Game Boys, to be honest, the membranes will determine the color of your start and select button. And those are terribly bent. Oh, there we go. They kind of popped back into place. So yeah, how do we feel about that? Or do we just want to go with green membranes? Now remember, we're going to have a pink screen cover. So with the pink screen cover on there, we want the pink start and select buttons. Yeah. Or do we just go, you know, this is why I also bought a gray screen cover. We can just go gray screen cover, and then we can just go green membranes as well. Whew. Choices, right? I mean, I know we can change it afterwards. But if we've got just all green and we don't go with the pink at all, one of the buttons fell out, but you know, if we're imagining that with the gray cover on there, jeez. Oh my God, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about this. I'll be back in a minute. All right, so the screen mounting bracket goes in a little something like this. The FunnyPlaying is gonna be readable from how we're seeing it. And as you can see, it has a cutout here for this ribbon to come out through. We've also got a touch sensor up there. And it's got a little cutout here to sort of put some relief on where the actual LCD meets the driver ribbon, or driver board if you want to call it that. And so you can see that that cutout fits around where that connector meets the screen. And the screen fits actually fully into this mounting bracket. So it should be aligned perfectly. All right, so we got this in here. I just got 2 screws in just to kind of temporarily hold it in place while we test it. You can see where the ribbon from the IPS driver ribbon, board ribbon comes through. And this will fold over and go into here. You can also see, again, there's a little touch sensor up there. And then there's a ribbon that goes between the front half and the back half. And this will just get pushed into here with the contacts up. And then that folds over and that ends up getting pushed into here, also contacts up. So you can slide this into here first and then into here, or you can slide it into here first and then into here. But you kind of got to do that, you know, as they're coming together, because they've got to get close enough that you can get those together. Now, what's this look like so far? What buttons, what membranes did I use? Yeah, I went all green. I took some pictures to kind of give a better look as you can see here, side by side. And I did decide on the all green, so we'll go with the gray screen cover. And yeah, hopefully this works. All right, so just a note, there is a little power pad on the ribbon coming from the LCD driver board ribbon to here. And sometimes, like on the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Pocket, that does require a wire being soldered to it from power. Not required here, so I'm not sure why that's there. It might be a remnants of like an older revision of this kit. The pad's there that says power, but you don't have to use it. So we've got the front half and the back half connected with that ribbon. Again, it's a little bit tricky to get in there and get those connected. But now this will just come together. We're going to screw that together, put some batteries in there and test it. All right, she's all tightened up. We got 4 batteries here. Pop those in. Pop that battery cover on. Yep, all right. So I just went to pull out a cartridge and there wasn't one in there. I do have to clean the screen up, and we will put the gray cover on. So let's do that real quick. I've got some LCD screen cleaner here. I'll blow it off first. I've got a little blow duster thingy, but yeah, we did get a couple fingerprints. We did get a couple fingerprints on that, so. Yeah, that looks good. So we've got a plastic protectant over the whole thing. And then we've got the sticky tape, which goes over the whole screen. You gotta kind of tear out the all right, that looks good. I'm gonna peel this off. That looks good. I'm gonna give that one last blow. And then line that up. Ooh, nice. All right. Looking good. And I assume there's still something on here to peel off. At least I really would have thought there was. Was there really not? There isn't. Wow, okay. Well, give that a cleaning. All right, let's grab Tetris, pop that in, and take a look at that. As you can see, it's already defaulted to sort of a sepia tone thing going on, which again, I like. Let me turn this light off. So it's defaulted to this kind of pea soup, greenish yellow, kind of sepia tone thing. Let me grab this guy. And I'm pretty sure I grabbed another copy of Tetris. Yep. Got a Japanese copy of Tetris here, so I'll pop that in this one. And this is going to give us a good side-by-side on the screen size difference and the difference in tone. So I'm going to turn the brightness down on this one to match. Turn the volume down a little bit on that one. But as you can see, the old one is a slightly smaller screen. And actually wow. That 11% makes a pretty big difference. I don't know how that's coming across in camera, but wow. But this is really only the tip of the iceberg because there's a lot more differences under the hood here. On this guy, we've only got, I think, 9 colors. So we use yellow, purple, black and white. It's got purple and yellow in there, and then blue, purple and yellow, blue, green, red, and then yellow. Now, this one here, like I said, it's defaulted to this kind of yellowish with the sepia tones. But this one has a bit of an on-screen display, which I wasn't expecting. And so here we can change the brightness. And it's a lot easier to change the brightness, and you've got a number. So what does it go up to? It goes up to 15. And obviously it's going to go down to 1 or maybe 0. Yeah, it goes down to 1. So from 1 to 15, I'll put it on 8. CLR, so that's our color. Now it's on 3. So we got 1 is black and white. We've got 2 is like a sepia, a really brownish sepia tone. 3 is the greenish sepia tone. That's what it defaulted to. I really like 2 though, for what it's worth. And then we've got 4. Now I don't know how many this is going to go through. That one looks like a Game Boy Light, I would say. That one actually looks like a Game Boy Light. Wow, I like all of these. A little bit more of a purple tone, coming from the Game Boy Light-ish looking one. And lots of purples, and getting into more of a dark reddish brown purple, a straight up brown, an inverted black and white, purples. Let's just go through these all real quick. See how many there are. Geez, there is. Okay, so there's 36. So 1 through 36 on the color options. Now, as you can see, it's a lot easier to get to a color you want, and you've got a number so you can remember, oh, I like 14. Or I like 24. I'm having a hard time picking a favorite here. But it's a heck of a lot easier. This is easier than my Pocket. The Pocket, there's no on-screen. This is a similar color palette to my IPS Pocket, but that has no menu system, so you're kind of just blindly going through the colors, and you've got to do it with a touch sensor where you touch to go through colors, you hold to go back through colors. So, this is a lot easier to just manage in general. And find the color palettes you like. You can remember the numbers of the color palettes that you like. Again, I really like that brownish one, 24. Now this is DSP. Oh, wow. So what does DSP stand for, other than display? Because this goes 1 through 4. And it keeps our brown palette, but it gives us like a black, much more contrasty shades of brown. So if you like a more contrasty, punchy look, you can play with these. If you like the kind of sepia tone, a little bit more washed out, you can keep that on 1. But yeah, 1 through 4 on there gives you some really neat, some really neat contrasty things going on there. Now, FRM is frame blending. And this is a thing with certain games where I think a sprite will flicker on and off so quickly. And of course, with the old original screen having such a low pixel response time, the response time, that would blend together. And so some of these screen kits will sort of fake that blending to give that transparent look. I believe that's kind of what's going on there. So that frame blending, you might want on or off, just depending on the game. I think I'm going to leave it off most of the time, And if I notice a game where it's trying to pull off one of those effects, in fact, I know a game that does that, we'll take a look at. That, I have no idea. That's like your horizontal and your vertical alignment. Okay. So yeah, we'll leave that there. I really like that brown. Geez, that looks gorgeous. That 11% is quite the difference. So slightly larger screen is nice. The sepia tones are nice. You've got more color palettes in general. They're easier to change through. You've got those display kind of contrast modes where there's 4. And if you want a punchier look, that definitely gives it to you there. They've changed the power LED. The power LED on the new kit's much smaller. The power LED on this one almost looks more like a stock LED, but you can clearly see, well, I don't know in the video how clear that's going to come across, but that's a smaller, not quite as bright, the red power LED on this one. Because again, that power LED is part of the front board with the button contacts that the speaker is soldered to, that the screen connects to. But yeah, oh yeah, and turn that light back on. And where is it? Yeah, this shell did come with the port cover there, so yeah, that fits on like a glove. Like I thought, we didn't have to end up filing that out because that brightness wheel is much slimmer than the brightness wheel on the earlier IPS kits. But yeah, wow. I didn't expect this to have an on-screen display. I expected it to act basically the same as how the IPS Pocket kit I have acts, but using the button instead of the touch sensor. But where you wouldn't have an on-screen display, but you could toggle through 36 some odd. I think this is basically the same color palette that the Pocket has, but with an on-screen display. And you know what? I just realized something this whole time. The DSP is the pixel. Wow. Let's punch in a little bit here. So the DSP has got your pixel gap options, and that's why the contrasty look is changing. So DSP1 has pixel gaps. DSP2 does not have pixel gaps. DSP3 has pixel gaps. And DSP4 does not have pixel gaps. So hopefully that's coming across on the yeah, you can definitely see that in the black area there. I don't know why I wasn't noticing that. Now keep in mind, I'm behind the phone right now. I'm behind the camera, behind the phone. I'm not sitting as close to it as you're seeing it, especially right now punched in. So yeah, okay, so DSP is like your pixel modes. Oh yeah, so I did want to check out that frame blending thing. So yeah, let me grab my EverDrive here, and we'll pop that in. The game I was playing on here last, I believe, is doing this blending thing. So this might be a good one to check out. This is Tasmania for the Game Boy, which, believe it or not, is actually a pretty good game. I think it's better than Tasmania on Sega Genesis. It's certainly better than Tasmania on the Game Gear, without a doubt. And again, we can turn the pixel gap mode off. And I'm going to go to my favorite, 24. Yeah, there's 24 with pixel gap off. I do really like the way that looks. I do really like the browns. Now, the browns don't make sense. When did Game Boy ever have tones of brown? But it looks good. And I don't know, it seems to look good with the green. Is it just me? And again, we did go with the all green buttons there. So let's jump down here. And Tasmania here is trying to do a bit of a transparent effect on this water. and that's by flickering it's flickering one of the shades of gray on and off, probably per frame. So 60 frames per second. Technically, the Game Boy is, I think, 59 point something something something. But we're going to call that 60 frames per second. So let's see if we go to the frame blending and turn this on. It looks slightly different. Yeah, it's less flickery. Again, hopefully on camera. Let me, where we punched in a little bit more there. So with the frame blending off, it's kind of flickery. And with the frame blending on, I don't know, it actually just looks darker, doesn't it? Does that come across in camera? Yeah. That effect gets a little darker and maybe a little bit less flickery. I think it's a little bit less flickery too. Yeah, in this game, I think I like the look of the frame blending on better, but you can see it just did a weird thing there when it had to transition. So I don't know. On or off, I don't think it really matters. I think if off is the default, that's probably fine. Yeah, this is Tasmania for the Game Boy. This is a really good looking game. It plays pretty well. Has a bit of variety in the level types. There is a level where you're, it's like a racing game, and it's down, perspective with some depth and some winding roads. And yeah, it is actually a pretty decent game, surprisingly. But yeah, check this game out if you got a Game Boy or into the Game Boy. It's actually a surprisingly decent game. Good music, good controls, great graphics, some variety in the gameplay. Some of the levels are a little weird and repeating, I guess, but it's certainly a lot better than what you would expect a Tasmania game to be on the Game Boy. So yeah, definitely check that out. As for the extra buttons and membranes, again, I wasn't sure if I was going to use the pink buttons, pink membranes, and the pink screen cover. The buttons and the membranes especially, these are super cheap, right? These are like a couple of dollars. I think $2 for a pair of membranes and $2 for a pair of buttons. And so if you're not sure what colors you're going to want, just go ahead and order, especially the buttons and the membranes. They're so cheap. Yeah, you can see the FunnyPlaying logo on the speaker through there. Just kind of cool. No text here, so I did want to point that out. Every aftermarket Game Boy shell that I've ever seen has that text embossed in the plastic and or stamped in the plastic or whatever. It's part of the mold. But that's just smooth there. So that's a little different. I don't think I've ever seen a Game Boy shell, DMG shell, where that's smooth there. Even again on the Retro 6 shell, it's got that text in the plastic there, and again, doesn't here. So do I care? No, it's fine. Don't really care about that. The shell is pretty good. Fitment's pretty good. Yeah, the white font on there looks all right, especially with the green buttons. I think the green buttons there was definitely the way to go. And again, I sold my other clear DMG, so these are now my two IPS DMGs. And I kind of like this one, just looks stock with a stock sized screen. And this one's a little more elaborate with that slightly larger screen and just the IPS kit. Again, Jesus Christ, just look at that. It looks so good. And again, now we have this pixel option mode. I never had any pixel option modes on my other IPS DMGs. So this thing is just gorgeous. Super happy with it. And yeah, again, I sold one to justify this one. And everyone's happy. Especially me. This thing looks awesome. So super pleased with this. Yeah, definitely worth doing. That looks amazing. See you guys later.